The rain had just started falling over the red earth streets of Enugu when Amara first noticed the bitterness in her tea. At first, she blamed stress. Her husband, Obinna, had become distant over the past year. The same man who once sang old high life songs while helping her fry akara before church had slowly turned cold and impatient. Their home still looked beautiful from outside, a painted gate, flower pots near the veranda, children laughing in the compound, but inside, silence had replaced affection. Amara tried everything to save the peace. In Igbo culture, she had been taught that a woman protects her home with patience, wisdom, and prayer. Her mother always told her, "A good wife is not the loudest person in the house. She is the pillar nobody notices until it breaks." So Amara endured. When Obinna shouted, she stayed calm. When he stopped eating her food, she cooked better meals. When he came home late smelling of alcohol and strange perfume, she prayed harder. But something inside her kept whispering that danger was closer than she imagined. Every night, Obinna insisted on preparing her tea himself. At first, she found it sweet. "Drink it while it's hot," he would say, smiling strangely. But after drinking it, Amara often became dizzy. Some mornings, her body felt too weak to rise from bed. Her heart raced at odd hours. Her hands trembled while tying her wrapper. Still, she kept quiet. In many African homes, women are taught to endure before they complain. To avoid shame. To avoid gossip from relatives. To avoid becoming that woman people discuss at village meetings. But suffering in silence can become an invitation to destruction. One night, while cleaning the kitchen, Amara overheard Obinna speaking softly on the phone outside. "I told you she's getting weaker already," he whispered. Amara froze. The rain tapped against the zinc roof while fear crawled through her chest. Then he laughed. "Soon, everything will belong to us." Her hands began shaking so badly that a spoon fell to the floor. Obinna entered immediately. "Why are you standing there like a ghost?" he snapped. Amara forced a smile. "Nothing. I was just tired." That night, she could not sleep. Beside her, Obinna snored peacefully while her mind traveled through years of sacrifice. She remembered selling her jewelry so he could start his transport business. She remembered standing beside him when his own brothers mocked him for being broke. She remembered fasting and praying when he nearly lost everything during a failed contract. Now this same man wanted her gone. At dawn, she quietly visited Mama Ifeoma, an elderly widow in the neighborhood known for her wisdom. The old woman listened carefully while peeling cocoyam. Then she looked Amara directly in the eyes. "My daughter," she said softly, "sometimes the people eating with us are the same people digging our graves." Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. "What should I do, Mama?" The old woman became silent for a moment. Then she said something Amara would never forget. "God gave women intuition for survival. Use yours." That evening, Amara made a decision. When Obinna brought the tea as usual, she smiled gently and thanked him. But the moment he turned to answer a phone call, she quietly switched the cups. Her heart pounded violently. For a second, guilt attacked her. What if she was wrong? What if suspicion had poisoned her mind? But another voice inside whispered, "And what if you are right?" Obinna returned and picked up the cup without noticing. He drank deeply. Amara stared silently at him while pretending to sip hers. 10 minutes later, Obinna's expression changed. His hands trembled. Sweat gathered across his forehead. "Amara," he whispered weakly. Fear entered his eyes for the first time. "What's happening to me?" Amara slowly placed her untouched cup on the table. The room became unbearably quiet. Then realization struck him. His face lost color. "You," he gasped. Tears filled Amara's eyes, not from revenge, but from heartbreak. "No," she whispered painfully. "You did this to yourself." Obinna collapsed. Neighbors rushed him to the hospital that night. The doctors later confirmed that a harmful substance had entered his system repeatedly over time. Under pressure and fear, Obinna eventually confessed everything. A younger woman had entered his life months earlier. Together, they planned to eliminate Amara so he could inherit properties registered in both their names. The news spread through the community like wildfire. People were shocked. Some women cried for Amara. Some men shook their heads in shame. Even Obinna's relatives could not defend him. But the deepest wound was not betrayal. It was realizing that the person she once called her safest place had secretly become her greatest danger. For weeks, Amara struggled emotionally. She stopped attending women's meetings. She avoided church gatherings. The humiliation felt unbearable. In African society, people often blame victims quietly. Some whispered. Maybe she failed as a wife. Maybe she didn't pray enough. Maybe she pushed him away. But pain has a dangerous way of teaching truth. One evening, while sitting outside watching children play under mango trees, Mama Ifeoma visited again. "My daughter," the old woman said gently, "do not allow another person's wickedness to become the reason you hate yourself." Amara lowered her head silently. Then Mama continued. "Listen carefully. A broken pot can still carry seeds. And those seeds can still feed a nation." That sentence changed everything. Amara realized she had survived for a reason. Not to remain bitter. Not to seek revenge. But to become stronger and wiser. Slowly, she rebuilt herself. She reopened the tailoring business she abandoned years earlier to support Obinna's dreams. At first, customers were few. But her skill and kindness drew people in. Women traveled from nearby towns to sew wedding outfits and traditional attire with her. Within 3 years, Amara became one of the most respected businesswomen in the area. Ironically, the same people who once pitied her now admired her strength. But success was not her greatest victory. Peace was. One afternoon during a women's conference in Saka, Amara stood before hundreds of young wives and shared her story publicly for the first time. The hall became silent. Some women cried openly. Then Amara spoke from the deepest part of her soul. "In our culture, women are taught endurance. And yes, endurance is honorable. But endurance without wisdom is dangerous." The audience listened carefully. You cannot build peace with someone determined to destroy you. Love should never require blindness. Prayer should never replace discernment. The room erupted into applause. After the conference, several women approached her privately. One confessed she was suffering abuse in silence. Another admitted her husband controlled her through fear. Another said she nearly took her own life because she felt trapped. Amara hugged each of them. That day, she understood her pain had become purpose. Years later, during the New Yam festival in her village, Amara sat surrounded by family, laughter, and music. The smell of roasted yam and palm oil filled the evening air while Egu dancers performed joyfully in the village square. A little girl sitting beside her asked innocently, "Auntie Amara, why do people call you strong?" Amara smiled softly. Then she answered, "Because life tried to destroy me, but I refused to become hatred." The child nodded, though too young to fully understand. As the drums echoed through the night, Amara looked toward the sky and whispered a silent prayer. Not for revenge. Not for the past. But for wisdom. Because she had learned one of life's hardest lessons. Sometimes the greatest danger does not come from strangers. It comes from the people sitting closest to us. And sometimes survival is not about fighting loudly. Sometimes survival is noticing the bitterness in the tea, and finding the courage to trust yourself. The elders in her village would later use Amara's story to teach younger generations an important proverb. When the wall begins to crack, the wise do not wait for the roof to fall. Life always whispers before it screams. Many ignore the whispers because they fear change, shame, or loneliness. But discernment can save a life. Love can be beautiful. Marriage can be sacred. Family can be a blessing. But no relationship should cost a person their dignity, safety, or peace of mind. Amara's journey became proof that surviving betrayal is possible. Not easy. Not painless. But possible. And in the end, she discovered something powerful. The same heart that survives heartbreak can become a light for others walking through darkness.